Good morning, and welcome to another Morning Mindset. My name is Michelle Dale, coming to you from inside Virtual Co-working Space, and we are here to help you level up your business, lifestyle, and mindset if you're a virtual assistant now, or any service provider really. We are covering the topic this week of the unfolding. We've talked about how everything is working out from us all the time. We basically, a lot of us feel like circumstances outside are what dictates what's happening, but everything is coming from inside us. We covered this on the first day. Then we looked at how the circumstances on the outside, how they kind of don't matter. You're giving everything meaning. It's not always what it looks like. As soon as you make that decision, you have to know that everything outside you is now perfect. Okay, so on an extension from that topic this morning, I know that sometimes people have a lot of difficulty in seeing something as perfect when it clearly isn't. And if you are somebody who feels like, oh, like I'm kidding myself by telling myself this is perfect, then I want to give you another frame on it, because this is also happening at the same time, because it's all part of that same process. Is that if you can't see it as perfect, then simply see it as dying out, in the process of dying out. So let's say, for example, you have a friend or you know somebody who is sick, right? But they don't know they're sick. Okay? So someone can actually be sick and not know they're sick. Interesting story from my own experience. My father, when I was 14, was really prone to getting bronchitis, and he was a heavy smoker, and he just kind of all my childhood I just remember him getting bronchitis a lot. And he went into the doctor and said, like, I've got this bout of bronchitis, I get it all the time, and I like whatever he was taking from the pharmacy wasn't working. He said, like, I need something stronger, nothing more. At that moment, he's going in there just feeling like a little bit sick, not knowing what's going on, to be told within hours he was dying. Now, at the same time that he was told he was dying, he looked and appeared exactly the same as he was when he didn't realize he was dying. So what I'm saying is that circumstances immediately start dying out. As soon as you say, this is how it is, this is what I'm claiming right now, this is what I'm saying it is, this is what my goal is, and this is what I've decided for myself, and I know it's happening right now, even though the circumstances around me still look the same. If I can't frame it as perfect because it feels wrong to me, frame it as simply the process of dying out. Because even if you say to yourself, well, I can't see it dying out, actually, from my own experience, something can look exactly the same as it did seconds ago, but you then realize and understand and know it's in the process of dying out. It's a weird analogy to use my father, but honestly, that was the first thought I remember when my dad told me that he was dying. And I wasn't living with him at the time. My parents were divorced. But I was like, but how is that possible? You just have a cough, like you have bronchitis. And he's like, no, I'm dying. Like, and within days, he was in the hospital having his entire lung removed. So, because he had cancer. So they diagnosed him with cancer. Literally going in for a cough and being diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer, that they were saying, if we don't operate on you now, like we're talking like a couple of weeks maybe, tops. So it was a very interesting scenario for me to see then, like something going from it's fine, it's solid, we all think we know what it is, and then you realize it's not quite what it seems. You need to really look at your external circumstances like that. Just say, just because I'm looking at it, just because my eyes tell me this, just because even my feeling tells me this, that does not mean to say that it is actually how it is. A lot of people say, you know, I'll believe it when I see it and things like that, but you can't see something like that. So you have to acknowledge there are things going on, we can't see them. And if we affirm, this is true, this is a fact, this is how it is, we can honestly say to ourselves, do we truly know this? Just because we're looking at it? We're looking at it from one vantage point. We're looking at it from one linear perspective. We're looking at it from one opaqueness. And that's what it is. You know, we're saying it's black and white, but it's not. There is this grey area where it goes from being there and existing to the point where you decide this has to change, and I'm deciding, I'm choosing for myself a different outcome now. And then you basically end up in that outcome, but during the process, that circumstance that you see in front of you immediately begins the process of dying out. But if you keep it alive, it won't. If you keep saying, this is how it is, this is how I see it, this looks the same, you'll keep it alive. You can't allow for it to die out. You have to know it's in the process of dying out. Just as a little add-on to that story, my father obviously made a choice that he wanted to live, and he didn't die at that point. He died when I was 34, but many years later. So 20 years later, he died. But at that point, that was a choice. It was a choice of his. He could have listened to the doctors. He could have said, oh my God, I'm dying and I'll be dead within 2 weeks. And make that choice based on his observations and based on what he was told. Or he could have said, absolutely no, no way not. This is not my time. Do whatever it takes. I am staying alive. And he did for another 20 years. So that's what you have to recognize. There are two options here. When you decide everything's working out for me and this is what my outcome is, this is my end. But obviously we're dealing and managing with the circumstances looking exactly the same as they were as soon as we declared, this is my end and I know it's done now. You know, you've got to recognize, you've got to either see everything, like we said yesterday, as perfect, right? But if you can't say to yourself, now it's the perfect unfolding, now my horrible circumstances are perfect. If you can't do that for yourself, or you don't want to for whatever reason, then you choose to tell yourself they're in the process of dying out. That circumstance is dying out. That old manifestation is dying out. That old version of me is dying out. You know, it's all in a process of dying out. And you know, something can look exactly the same and it can be dying out. I know this from my own experience. So think about that. Think about how you want to frame things. And, you know, it's funny, I was talking to myself, do that a lot actually. I was talking to a friend the other day and I said to that friend, just try and say I'm perfect. I'm seeing everything as perfect right now. And that friend said, I don't like that word perfect. And I said, okay, well, you can use a different word. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to question yourself, because I went through that too. I thought to myself, how am I going to tell myself I'm perfect? Nobody's perfect. Nothing's perfect. But in fact, everything is perfect. And I asked myself this question: why did I have so much resistance to the word perfect? Why was I resisting that word in relation to me and myself as in my circumstances are perfect. I'm perfect. Why did I have so much resistance to that word? It's a good question to ask yourself. Why do you have resistance to perfect? Interesting. But if you do, and you do have resistance to perfect, then you can simply reframe those existing circumstances as currently in the process of dying out. I'm still at my job here, but it's dying out. I'm still in this horrible situation, in this relationship, but it's dying out. Everything is dying out if you know that that circumstance is not part of your end goal and your outcome. You have to find a way to frame it so you are affirming to yourself constantly, not that it's there and not that it exists. You cannot affirm to yourself it's there, it exists, it's still the same. You can't keep affirming that to yourself. You've got to reframe it and keep reminding yourself either that it's working out perfectly and right now this is perfect from where it is today, right now, or you have to say it's in the process of dying out. The circumstance is just dying out. I'm curious to see how that happens. Okay, that's our little tidbit for today. We are back here again tomorrow for the final part of the unfolding, and in the meantime we are going to be doing our daily accountability. So focus on what you're grateful for, focus for your gratitude, focus on all of that good stuff, and I will see you back here tomorrow for the last part of the unfolding. Take care, have a beautiful day ahead. Before we begin, don't forget you can join me live online inside Virtual Co-working Space at www.virtualmissfriday.com/VCS. If you enjoy this session, give it a like. I'd love to hear from you, so write me a comment. And so you don't miss any updates, don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. So now we're going to look for the positive with our gratitude. First, we'll spend 1 minute thinking of the day before. Thinking of all the things that happened, reflecting on work, interactions, relationships, memorable moments, and more. Now you'll write one thing down minimum that you're grateful for. You can, of course, write down more. Something good, something that went right, a small moment or a big win. The more you search for things to be grateful for, the more you will experience things to be grateful for. Now we're going to read out your goal. Make sure your goal is written down in a journal or somewhere you can easily access it. Read your goal now, ideally out loud, and commit to this goal. Believe it will happen. And by reading this daily, the universe knows clearly what your goal is, and the things begin to shift in the direction of your goal. Follow your instincts when this happens by taking action. Now you need to see your goal in visualization. Spend this minute thinking about the goal in your mind. See yourself taking steps towards the goal, or even better still, see yourself having already achieved the goal. Close your eyes and go there. Step into the feeling, step into the place, step into the accomplishment. And finally, it's time for your most important task. Set this task for today and make it relating to your goal. This could be something small like sending an email, recording a video, or making a phone call, or it could be bigger. Either way, one task a day is one step forward, and those steps will add up. Do what you can from where you are now. Set the intention, and the action will carry you towards your goal. Well done you for completing your daily co-create session. Have a fantastic day ahead, and I'll see you next time.